At this point, it's been over 2 years since Disney debuted their MagicBand Plus, the newest iteration of MagicBands. And look, I've got a number of them. I've been using them ever since they debuted, and so I want to sit down and give you some of my thoughts more than 2 years later on what I think of this and whether or not it's something I think you should consider springing for during your next Disney vacation. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the beautiful Japan Pavilion here at Epcot. Today we're digging into MagicBand Plus because I know that there's a lot of you out there who are planning your vacations. You're deciding whether or not this is something that you want to spring for. Of course, this is an expensive addition to your Disney vacation, especially if you're getting one for everyone in your family. But is it a tool worth investing in, or is it something that you can skip? Now, before I really dig in, I think it's important to understand that depending on who you are, depending on your wants and needs and your travel habits, the answer is going to be different, right? Like, everyone has different wants and needs, and everyone is going to see a different value in different things. But just as much as that's the case, there are going to be pros and cons to everything for everyone. So I'm going to dig into kind of the basics, and then we'll get into some more of my thoughts. Does that sound good? So MagicBand, just in general, to include MagicBand Plus, is this wearable device, and you can use this for everything here at the Walt Disney World Resort. If you're staying at a Walt Disney World Resort hotel, this is the key for your room. It's also your park ticket, whether you're staying at a Walt Disney World Resort hotel or not, and of course it has other functions as well. Guests, again, staying at Walt Disney World Resort hotels can link a credit card to this and use it as a tap and go payment method, and you can also use it to play various games and interact with things throughout the parks. You can also use it as a fashion accessory if that's your style. They also come in a number of different colors and styles as well. You know, they have some solid ones, those are a little bit more affordable, then they have some ones with designs like this that come in at a higher price point. So you have options, and there is arguably a lot that you can do with a MagicBand. So of course, I'm sure that that sounds appealing to some of you. It's appealing to me, but just like I mentioned earlier, everything has its pros and cons, including MagicBand Plus. So let's get into some of them and talk about what my experience has been in the past 2+ years. Oh, before I go any further, MagicBand Plus is also how you can collect ride photos. I forgot to mention that here a second ago, so I'm just going to throw that out there. We'll get more into that here in a bit. So I want to start by talking about the things that I like, not only about MagicBand Plus specifically, but MagicBand in general. First and foremost, I love that this is one device that you can wear on your wrist, and it has pretty much everything that you really need for your Disney vacation. More specifically, the fact that it is your park ticket and your room key. As a solo traveler, I love the fact that I could just put this on my wrist, leave it on when I was showering or in the pool because it is waterproof, and never have to concern myself with being locked out of my room. Because look, it's easy to forget your phone, it's easy to forget a room key, but this, it's right here. So I felt like that was a little bit of extra security, and I like that. Of course, if you're one of the many who visit Walt Disney World with a family, this can also be another great tool, especially because you can get a little overwhelmed, a little scatterbrained when you're here on vacation. So having this right here, it just makes things a little bit easier, at least in my opinion. I also love that this is your park ticket because, again, you can wear it right on your wrist. You don't have to worry about fumbling around with cards that all look the same. Like, this is great. And if you have your MagicBand ordered, neither of these were ordered through my Disney experience, but if you order them because you are staying at a Walt Disney World Resort hotel, which is a great option because you can get a discount if you get your MagicBand that way, it'll actually have your name right on the back, right here. This one doesn't say it, but your name will be right here. So you can figure out whose is whose. Of course, you can get different designs for everybody in your party. So that makes it a little bit easier to distribute tickets, especially if you have a bigger family. I know that we've all been to the gates with people who are trying to figure out which ticket belongs to who, and that can get a little bit tough. So this can be a great solution to that problem. And of course, it does more than that as well. I know that there are other easier, more affordable solutions. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people like to wear their tickets around their neck, similar to what I do when I visit Universal. That's a great option too. But if the other features that MagicBand provides is appealing to you, this can be a good way to go. Now, another thing that I really love about MagicBand Plus more specifically is that it can be charged, which I know what you're thinking. You don't want to have to deal with charging another device. I was thinking the same thing, and I don't entirely disagree, but because this can be charged, it actually lasts longer than previous iterations of MagicBand did. So the way that the older MagicBands worked, just MagicBand and MagicBand 2.0, is that they had a battery inside the puck, but you couldn't get to the battery, you couldn't change the battery out. And the battery was said to last for about 2 years. I know there are some people who said that the battery lasted longer for them. Some people, myself included, have had Magic Bands die a lot sooner than that. And once that battery was depleted, that was it. You needed a new Magic Band, at least if you wanted to use certain features, like for example, having the Magic Band collect your ride photos when on certain attractions. Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion are both great examples. But with Magic Band Plus, because you can charge it, it doesn't die at that 2-year mark or any sooner like has happened for me in the past. Because you have that rechargeable battery, you can keep it going for much longer, which in this case has been over 2 years for me. And you know, to be fair, that might change in the future, right? Like this battery might eventually die and then we'll have to have another conversation about this. But thus far, this battery is still kicking and I don't see it failing anytime soon. I can't say the same for Magic Bands that I purchased around the same time as this one. So I do think that that's great. I do think that that's helpful. Now, for those of you who are wondering, like, will this Magic Band still work if it's not charged? Absolutely. You don't have to turn it on for it to work. It will still function as your room key and your park ticket by simply touching it to the touch point. But if it's not turned on or if it's not charged, it's not going to collect those ride photos like I mentioned on Pirates of the Caribbean or Haunted Mansion. It will if it's turned on. So that's just something to keep in mind. You know, you are going to still want to charge this. You are going to still want to make sure that it is charged when you're here on vacation. But even if it's not, just like old Magic Bands, it's still gonna work just fine for the functions you really need it to work for. Again, room key and park ticket. But okay, we've talked about the good, now we need to talk about the bad. What are some downsides to Magic Band Plus? Well, first and foremost, I'm really disappointed in the quality, specifically of the bands. Now, I bought this Magic Band Plus 2 years ago. It's a 2-year-old Magic Band Plus. And I don't know if you can tell, but the design, especially over here, has completely rubbed off. It started to peel over here. I talked about this when I first got this Magic Band. It happened almost immediately. And I did go to guest relations and I told them what was going on because it was like within a few days. And I just wanted to see what they were going to do for me, and they said, no problem, we'll give you another one. I picked another one. Unfortunately, I don't have that one with me today, but it had a design similar to this, where it's like a solid design. I thought that this was going to be the way to go. Unfortunately, it wasn't. It cracked and did the same thing, actually, as this Epcot Magic Band is doing. If you take a close look, you can see that it's cracked where it bends. And the design just, it's not great quality, these bands. So I do think that that's worth noting. I do think that this is something that still needs improvement. Actually, this is my newest Magic Band Plus, the one that I'm wearing today. And you can see on this one too, that we do have cracks that are forming on the design. So that's not great, and I think that that's definitely something that you need to be aware of if you're considering getting a Magic Band Plus that does have a design like this, because it is more expensive, it costs more, and it doesn't quite hold up like a solid Magic Band will, or more specifically a solid Magic Band Plus. Now, for those of you who are wondering, did I ever run into this with some of my other Magic Bands? No, I've never had this issue with Magic Band 2.0. I haven't had cracking on any of the designs or on any of the glitter. Like I have one of those glittery ones, you know, where there's like glitter all on the band. I've never lost any glitter off that. I've never had any cracking on that, and I use those all the time as well. In fact, some of them are significantly older than these. So, you know, I just think that that's something worth mentioning, something worth taking into consideration. I will say that the puck on every one of these Magic Bands looks fantastic. No issues with that at all. So if you're into the design on the puck, then hey, maybe it's not that big of a deal to you. You want to grab this, hold on to it, maybe cross your fingers that they release some sort of puck holder. I know that there are some third-party puck holders out there that might do the job for you. So anyway, just some things to think about. And look, the last downside to Magic Band Plus, again, in my opinion, is that there aren't as many interactions as I'd like to see in the park, certainly not 2 years later. So Magic Band Plus does interact with different statues, with nighttime shows. Here at Epcot, it will interact with luminous as well as Spaceship Earth. It glows, and it's a fun little thing to have on your wrist. And even though it's not going to be right for everyone, I do think that it can be fun. I mean, I think it's fun, but especially for little ones. There's also games that you can use your MagicBand Plus to play. For example, over in Hollywood Studios, they have a bounty hunter game. Of course, you're also going to need your smartphone for that one. And then there are other fun things to do with your MagicBand Plus, like the Christmas trees at the Christmas tree stroll over in Disney Springs. So there's some stuff peppered throughout the parks. You know, Magic Kingdom has the statues. I could go on. And they're fun. They have been around for quite some time, but it's kind of far and few in between, at least in my opinion. I also feel like it just lacks a little bit when it comes to the variety of offerings. Like, yes, it blinks, which is cool. It vibrates every now and again to let you know that there's an interaction nearby, which again is great. But you know, for the most part, it's one game, nighttime spectaculars, and various static things that when you wave at them or do the circle as they now want us to do, they might make a noise or something, you know. So it's not the most exciting feature of MagicBand Plus, at least not in my opinion. And while, of course, this is relatively new, after 2 years, I was expecting to see a little bit more. That all having been said, a little bit more than 2 years later, I feel pretty good about the MagicBand Plus, and I do think that it is a great tool. While it absolutely has its flaws, not only in the quality, but also in things like the interactions, which can also be a little bit hard to make work sometimes. I know we've talked about that before. Some of you have struggled with MagicBand Plus yourself. I do still think that if you want that little bit of extra convenience, and especially if you're going to be visiting Walt Disney World year after year, this might be worth the price. It makes things a lot more convenient, and it adds a little bit of extra fun to your day, and who could say no to that? But look, I want to hear from you guys. If you have a MagicBand Plus, tell us what you love about it and what you don't like. If you don't, let us know why. Have you just not gotten around to grabbing one yet? Or maybe there's certain things that just don't seem worth it to you? We'd love to hear all that you have to say, so pop it in a comment down below. But for now, I think that's all there is to say about MagicBand Plus. I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say and seeing just what the experience with MagicBand Plus over the past 2 years has been like for you. But until then, I think it's time for me to make my way out. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I hope you have a fantastic day wherever it is you are. See you guys next time. Bye.